Hey everybody, welcome back to the March Mood Mindfulness Challenge. It's day 27 and we are still talking about being mindful of our environment, being mindful of our emotions, being mindful of our moods, being mindful of our behavior, being mindful of our needs, and being mindful of what we require to feel good and feel loved. So in the last 4 days, I want to specifically shift our attention to self-esteem. Now, self-esteem is such a huge concept, and self-esteem impacts the way we feel, the way we think, our behavior, and so I thought it was perfect here to tack on at the end of this month. So let me ask you, what is self-esteem to you? Self-esteem refers to your overall sense of self-value. Self-esteem is more than just liking yourself. It's about believing that you deserve things, that you deserve love, that you deserve all the things you want out of life. It's about valuing your thoughts, valuing your beliefs, valuing your opinions, valuing your interests, valuing your goals. It is self-value. It's valuing that you have something to bring at every opportunity, and it doesn't matter what others say or do or think. You believe in yourself, you value yourself enough to say what's on your mind, to have the emotions that you're having, and to be okay with the consequences. Self-esteem comes under so many concepts. It comes under the idea of your identity, it comes into play with your self-confidence, it comes under the feelings of competence, and it also has to do with your sense of belonging. Now, it plays such an important part in so many categories of your life. It's why having low self-esteem can be such a problem for so many people. Research has shown that low self-esteem has been linked with anxiety, stress, emotional eating disorders. It really does come into play with a lot of mental health issues. And not only does it affect you, it also affects the people around you, those that love you. And it plays a role in how you treat yourself and how you treat others and how you are treated by others. So self-esteem is such a huge topic. I wanted to touch upon it and give it recognition in this series. So the first sign that you could have self-esteem is that you have poor self-trust. Being comfortable and confident enough to navigate any surprise situations that come up in your life. So for example, you could be driving and arrive somewhere and it not be the destination that you were expecting to be at. And all of a sudden you start attacking yourself in terms of negative self-talk. I'm so stupid. How come I didn't know? How would I know how to get here? Etc., etc. So the self-talk is an indicator of whether or not you trust yourself. Poor self-trust can also show up in terms of not even putting your hand up to do the things that might even excite you. So it's all about recognizing that you want to do something, but that you don't trust yourself enough to stand up to do it, or be able to implement it, or be able to follow it through, or be able to handle whatever stages it brings. So people just don't put their hand up in the first place. So that is an indicator of low self-trust. Another sign of low self-esteem is a lack of control. So when people are always on you in terms of, can you do this for me? Go get this. Would you mind doing this one thing for me? I need this. Where are you? Come here. And you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm being stretched in all directions, that you don't have control over your time, your energy, your day, your things, even if people are borrowing things from you without even asking, lack of control over situations or how people treat you. It means that you're unable to create boundaries between yourself and others, or even trust yourself enough to handle whatever comes so that you're able to say no. And mainly lack of control, which is kind of like lack of boundaries, is tied in with being externally focused. And what that means is you are always focusing on what people want from you or helping people, and you're afraid that if you say no or stand up for yourself, that you won't be liked by somebody else. And that comes and that is the definition of low self-esteem. It's like, if I do what I want to do, someone else might not like me, and then I'll feel bad. So I better not, and I don't want to feel bad, so I better not say what I really think and just do what I'm told. So rolling from that, which is sign number 3, is that you're a people pleaser. And I'm trying to be very, delicate here, because it's not every day that I go, "Hi, my name's Amira, I'm a people pleaser," right? But I do it. And I'll admit here, I find myself doing things for people so that I can be accepted by them. And just knowing what I'm doing is liberating in itself, because then I get to question myself. Why am I doing this? Why do I need this person's approval again? I find myself doing this for the most important people in my life. So, for example, my dad, my mom. So an example of what people pleasing is, oh, let me do that for you. Let me take that for you. Let me get that for you. Having to prove that you can do things for others is people pleasing. Now, this is different to wanting to help others, wanting to do things for others, being a giver, contributing, going to, shelters and charities and doing things for people who are less fortunate than you. Yes, totally different category. Don't mince my words here. That's not people pleasing. People pleasing is, "Hey Dad, guess what? I got my PhD. Oh, well done. I'm going to now go tell, uncle and auntie and all that stuff." So that is me seeking external validation, because I know that my father thinks that everybody's just normal, but being special means doing your PhD. And this is one of my huge breakthroughs of understanding that most of my life I've been doing things to please the beautiful people in my life, the ones I loved so much, but at the cost of my own health and my own happiness and my own passion. And that's been a huge journey in my life. And that's something that I have worked on for the last 10 years. And I'm just so grateful that I'm able to spot it, because you still have elements of it. You still want to please your boss. You still want to be recognized. You still want to be the best. Little bit of ego inside all of us, and that's not a wrong thing. But what happens is that when you make yourself uncomfortable and unhappy for somebody else, that's people pleasing. So sign number 4 that you may have low self-esteem is that you're constantly comparing yourself to others. Now, this, once again, and I don't want you to mince my words, comparing yourself to others can be so beneficial and very positive and enhance yourself. So if you think you're doing something amazing, if you think reading a page a day is just amazing, and then you go out into the world and you realize everybody in your age group or everybody in your class group is reading 2 pages a day and it's actually not hard, you then come back and you ask yourself, well, you know what? If everybody can do it, so can I. And you start to, work towards bettering yourself. And in that case, it's great having an external reference as well as your internal reference, as long as they match. So an external reference means going outside to see what other people are doing that is in line with what you want, And then coming back to see what you're doing. So the internal reference is like, I think I can only handle 1 page. And then you're like, but everybody else can do 2. So your sense of confidence comes in and goes, well, if everybody can do it, well, then why can't I? And you get that motivation to equal everyone and equal your capacity for your age. And you find that you can do it and you're on par with everybody else. And that's how capacity and competence and confidence grows. If you go out there and notice that everybody's swimming, 50 kilometers on the weekend and you can only swim 500 meters and you actually don't care to do it, then there's no problem here. You're happy to say they can do what they want and I can do what I want. But if it's something you want so much and you have so much passion and energy and time for, then you will go out to look for an external reference and then come in and go, yeah, me too. I can be a legend like them. I can do all the steps. So it's like modeling. So comparing ourselves to the right people is ever so healthy. But when we compare ourselves to others and we get that sense of doom or inadequacy or hopelessness, and when that person is not kind in terms of sharing with you how they reached their skills, how they reached their capacity, capability, their success, when that person is like, hey, this is my way and I'm never going to share with you and you're nothing and you're such a loser. Not that anyone's ever said that to me, but I'm thinking of teenagers who are always comparing themselves to others. And how come so-and-so has beautiful hair? And how come so-and-so is so skinny? And how come so-and-so can read better than me? And people get teased in the school system. It creates a sense of hopelessness, and it creates a feeling of incompetence and lack of confidence, and that is where your self-esteem takes a dive. So constantly comparing yourselves to others, especially the wrong people, is so not good for your self-esteem and for your mental health. And there's a precedence here. We're all born so unique and we all have a different purpose and calling that comparing ourselves to others is really defeats the purpose, because if you were born to ride a motorcycle all the days of your life and you're comparing yourself to someone who wants to ride boats, doing what that person does will not bring you passion. So you will feel depleted, deflated. But if you follow those who do ride motorcycles and want to show you how to be the best motorcycle driver ever and the best road trips to take and the best scenes to see, and you're just going to find your tribe. Your tribe's going to take care of you, elevate you, give you self-confidence, give you hope, and that is not comparing yourself. That's being among peers. The 5th point that may indicate that you may have low self-esteem is you don't reinforce your boundaries. And this kind of comes back and is close to number 2, which was feeling like you have a lack of control. Creating boundaries is something which we will talk about, and I've made a special dedication to a day. It is something that we establish early on in life. And we watch our families and our loved ones and our friends create boundaries so that we feel safe and that we have good relationships. If you feel that saying no to someone will cause that someone to spend less time with you, like you less, or you just feel bad, I feel guilty that you said no when it's not accordance with what you want to do, then it is a sign of low self-esteem, that you don't value yourself enough. You don't put your own opinion, your thoughts, your ideas ahead of other people. You actually allow other people's opinions and values and their goals in life to trump yours. So this is a huge one. This is a huge one. Some people have no concept of other people's space. Some people have no concept of other people's time. Some people have no concept of other people's things. And it's really important for us to share that lovingly. Like, no, that's mine. You can't take my water bottle. That's my saliva. That's my DNA. That's my health. I don't want an infection, No, that's my hat. I don't want to get lice. And we teach our children these things very easily at school. Why not go on to teach them about space and time? Respecting our boundaries, respecting our bodies. Respecting time is also another one where I need to be home at a certain time, and I don't have time to do your thing because I'm busy doing my own, which brings me joy. So a really important topic, which I look forward to bringing to you. Sign number 6 that you may have low self-esteem is having problems asking for what you need. So when your self-esteem is so low, you may even feel that you don't deserve help. You might feel like you're embarrassed. You might feel like you're so incompetent that you don't want people to see how incompetent you are, or that you are in need of assistance and support. It's interesting. A lot of people will feel that fear and just freeze for a certain time in their life until there's so much pain that then they say, hey, I'm about to lose my home. Will you please help me? Hey, it's really bad now. Can you drive me to the doctors or to the hospital? The question is, why not take care of your health and your priorities before you get to the late stage where like dire things need to be done? If you ask earlier, you can get help earlier, and the help you get is lighter, and you create an opportunity for reciprocation where you're still feeling good. And when someone's helped you out, you can turn around and help them out. So you make it a win-win situation. But if you wait till you're in despair and in such need, all you'll be doing is receiving at that stage. And you feel like I have nothing to give anybody else. So asking for what you need is so important. And we talked about needs, and we will talk about needs one more time. The 7th sign that you may have low self-esteem is the negative self-talk. And my goodness, don't we all have our negative self-talk when we are triggered? And the key word here is triggered, because most of the time we will be like, yeah, I'm the best, right? And when we're triggered, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Oh my God, how could I? And you have that negative self-talk. That is normal. That is not low self-esteem, okay? But it's in everyday passing conversation when you hear negative self-talk that you think, oh my goodness, is this person always talking so negatively about themselves? That's when your antennas go up and you go, there's a self-confidence issue here. There's a self-esteem issue here. So rather than people building themselves up when they have a flaw or an oops, it's like straight away, oh, I'm so dumb. And that's not even with a trigger. When they're triggered, it's a spiral, and it's so self-deprecating, and it just people like gash at themselves, and it's so painful to watch, and it's so painful to experience. Areas where you'll see people do the negative self-talk is appearance straight away. You're so pretty today. Oh, I'm so garbage. Personality. Wow, well done. Ah, you're always so amazing. No, I'm not. Abilities. Wow, you're so good at this. No, I'm not. So that is an indicator in the language of people that they could possibly have low self-esteem and not even know it. The 8th sign that people might have low self-esteem is a fear of failure. Now we all have this like, oh, I wonder I wonder if this doesn't go ahead, what's going to happen? That's really healthy. But when the fear of failure stops you from even starting, that is low self-esteem. Someone with positive self-esteem is someone who is looking forward to the future, looking forward to something new, looking forward to learning, looking forward to trying. And failure is really something that doesn't stop them from going ahead. But when people have low self-esteem, they even doubt that they deserve it, they doubt they can do it, even when they so deserve it, even when they have the capacity and the capability and the skills to do it. The fear of failure overcomes everything that's passionate, everything that they love, everything that they want even. They could really, really want it, but they just don't move because of the fear of failure. And the last line today that people may have low self-esteem is poor outlook. So when you hear it, you'll know exactly what I mean. So people who say, what's the point? Why bother? There's no hope. There's this real sense of doom and helplessness and hopelessness, and it just seems like they don't want to make any strides or take any steps to make their life better. Self-sabotage is very common to validate the feelings that they're having. So for example, you might be thinking, great, I am going to start walking every morning, and I'm going to start getting more active and start losing more weight and getting out of the house. And then the negative low self-esteem starts kicking in, and the negative self-talk starts coming in. What's the point? My legs hurt. I'm probably going to have a headache. You know how hard it is to get up in the morning. And you'll work yourself into such a state that the next morning you'll be like, can't go for my walk today, got a cold. And almost psychosomatically, you might bring on some kind of tension, some kind of cough, and really believe that you cannot execute the one thing that can change your activity level. So what they're doing is finding obstacles to prevent their success. And also what they're doing is they're blaming other things for the shortcomings. So it was the dog's fault, it was the weather's fault, it was somebody else's fault, and not their own. So if any of this is resonating with you, and you see perhaps any patterns of this is playing in your life, I want you to stay tuned, because I'm going to take you through a model called the self-esteem triangle. And what this does is it shows you that you need 3 components to increase your self-esteem. We need to have a look at your emotions. You need to be able to handle those emotions that come up. You need to be able to know what your needs are. We talked about the 6 core needs. And you need to be able to set your boundaries. And I'm hoping to dedicate one day to each of these over the next 3 days to discuss how looking after these 3 categories increases your self-esteem. So in the prompt today, what I asked was, share something that you know to be is true. And the quote that I used, which is a beautiful quote by Maya Angelou, and it fits in so beautifully with the concept of self-esteem. It is, develop enough courage to stand up for yourself so that you can then stand up for others. And self-esteem, self-confidence, self-courage, all talking about the same thing. And when you learn to stand up for yourself, you can then start standing for other people, because you're good here. You know what you need, you can handle your emotions, and you can put a boundary and a barrier between you and somebody else and say, I don't care what you think and what you say. I know what I want, and I know where I'm going, and I have a purpose, and that I matter. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I'll look forward to your comments below, and I'll see you in my next video.